what is your next move now as a person, as the receiver of that gift? Do you go to your store, because there's a million of these out there?
Yeah.
Do you go to your store and just go pick up another one? Or do you go do your research on them? Or do you just say, oh, well, I guess I'll never get that one again?
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 20 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hey fellas.
What's up, guys?
Howdy.
Oh, I knew it was coming. I couldn't wait to hear what Anthony was going to say.
Howdy do.
Sound like Woody from Toy Story.
There you go. That's what I was going for.
There you go. So, update on my passport.
Yes.
Or not my passport. I've got a lot of legal issues, obviously, in my life. Jury duty. That's the one that we left off with last week when I didn't know what my number was.
I think so.
Yeah. So I came to the conclusion that I just had to wait until the morning to find out my juror number. And it turns out that luckily the office opens about a half an hour before you have to report for jury duty. So I was able to call on my way down there to get my number, and then I was able to kind of turn around if I didn't need to come in. Turns out they did call my number, but I didn't need to come in right at 8:30 or 9 in the morning. I didn't have to be there till 11:30, I believe. So I got a little lucky on that part, So still got my day off of work, but I got my number called. Got into the jury pool.
What was that like?
My gosh!
It was like up and everything.
It was like it was like something out of a movie. It was the wildest thing I've ever, just experienced. Like I don't know. I was telling my wife about it. Like, so this was the first jury trial since August of 2020 in our town here, just because of COVID and stuff. And so they spread out all the potential jurors over 3 different sessions. So that's why I didn't go to the 9 o'clock one. I got called for the 11:30 one, and then there was one at like 2.
Yeah.
So anyway, you walk into the courtroom as a potential juror, and both sides. This was a civil trial, so it was like a lawsuit over an estate.
Yeah. That wasn't over like spilled coffee, like hot coffee.
No, it was not. It was over apparently a lot of money. So there were like 3 lawyers from each side and they are sizing you up when you walk in. Like they're taking notes, and they're doing the thing like you see in movies where they're whispering to each other and stuff like that. And then they nod their head and whisper to each other, nod their head, and that kind of thing. And they were asking us, they were just drilling us with questions about if you knew anybody from either side, if you ever had a loved one that had suffered from or died from cancer, if you'd ever been through an estate hearing before, if you'd ever been on jury trials, and like if you had, they wanted to know when, where, what it was about, what the verdict was. They wanted to know if you were a caretaker because a lot of this was pertinent to the case, because I believe one side had a relative that had died of cancer, and so they thought if you've had a family member die of cancer, you probably would be partial to that side of the trial and stuff. And they were just sizing us up. So I raised my hand in one of them because I knew a lawyer on one of the sides, like a partner in this guy's law firm. I didn't know this guy, but I knew his partner who wasn't working on the case.
Oh.
And so they called me aside, for a special like one-on-one interview. And so that was a little intimidating to stand before the judge and these lawyers, and talk about your relationship with this person, and I felt like I could be fair. I haven't seen this guy in like 20 years, so I was like, look, I haven't seen him in 20 years, I was like, I have no, I'm not going to let that my personal, relationship with him affect the case. So I guess I made the cut for that part. So I got to go back into the main jury room, and so they then just said they said remember your number, because they said we'll call tomorrow or tonight you'll be able to find out if you're one of the 14 selected for the jury, the 12, and then the 2 alternates. So I was not one of the ones selected. It was a random draw, and I was not one of the ones. So I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about that, because it was expected to last like 6 to 10 days or something. So
nice.
I didn't want wasn't trying to sit there for 6 to 10 days and listen to these people fight over their millions of dollars while I'm making $12.50 a day, be a juror, and then have to pay for parking on top of that while I'm down there. So,
they make you pay for parking.
You get a little voucher for it. It's $1. So no matter what your total comes to in the parking garage, they give you a little barcode to scan. That way you only have to pay $1. But honestly, if you gotta get your credit card out to pay, I'd rather just it was a good experience, and I wasn't the only one that didn't remember my number. So there were people there that were in the wrong session because they didn't call ahead and look and that kind of thing, or they didn't remember their number. There was a person who was at the wrong month. She had it in March, and she thought she was gonna. She thought she had gotten it delayed to May, and they're like, "No, that's not the way this works."
Yeah. When they pulled you aside for that interview, were you thinking they were going to ask you like, "Do you have any speeding tickets?"
Yeah, I was like,
"When did you submit your passport?"
Yeah, exactly. They were probably wanting to know what's this deal about your passport. Yeah, exactly. Like, why did you say you lost it and then all of a sudden you mailed it into us? And now you're trying to leave the country in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like something's not right there.
You're probably sweating thinking about that. You're like, they're going to start asking me for the passport. I know it.
It just doesn't add up. If that's the only time I get called for a while, that'd be all right, I guess.
Yeah.
So
you ever started on jury duty, Stephen?
I've never been there.
Well, maybe you're next then.
I hope not.
I hope I'm not next either.
I don't know. That's the first time.
You bring the bad juju and jinx us all over here and say that's going to be.
I've been legal for 21 years to serve on a jury duty, and I never gotten called. Some of those people, when they raise their hand, they've been called like 3 times for for a jury duty. One person was on a trial for some kind of, I don't know, she lived in Atlanta, Georgia at that time because, like I said, all this was done out in the open. You just tell them. And she was like something about some land and, whether Atlanta's airport could build a 6th runway and stuff like that. And the attorneys were like, wow. They're like, that was a serious case. Like, she's like, well, they built the runway, so I guess that's what, she's like, I guess they won. But anyway, cool. So yeah, it was kind of funny because they also were like, you're a potential juror, so don't go home and start Googling who these people are, or, all that kind of stuff. I had already started Googling, so
I was going to say, are they going to really control that? Come on.
I was like, yeah, come on.
They probably attach a tracker to you, and you're like, okay, this guy's already Googling. We can't.
They were like, have you ever heard of this car dealership in this town? Because I guess this guy owns this car dealership, and they're like, if you have, you'll probably be dismissed. And I thought, if I get selected, I'm gonna go drive by that car dealership, But
yeah,
whatever. It's a good thing they didn't ask if you had any relationship with Buffalo Trace or something like that, because I'd be out real quick.
Do you drink Buffalo Trace store picks?
Yeah, sorry, I'm out.
Guilty as charged.
I'm out. There's a good chance I'm carrying one in my car too.
Unbelievable.
Well, guys, this week we have a brand new bottle of a Maker's Mark Private Select store pick.
All right, so this Private Select store pick that we got is, of course, coming from the Maker's Mark Distillery, and this bottle date is February 2021. The ABV on this is 54.55%. Proof is 109.1. Of course, with these Private Selects, the cask strength that we did previously and others, they're non-age stated, but they're rumored to be between 6 and 8 years old. The mash bill is 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. The MSRP on this is $70. And so, real quickly, the big draw for this one is the fact that the Maker's Private Select program is built on the fact that there are 5 different staves that you can put inside of a barrel. So what they do is they allow you to taste the bourbon at cask strength after they've used each of these staves, and then you can mix those together to find out what combination of staves that you would like. And so the store had selected, Jackson's Wine and Spirit had selected to have 1 baked American pure stave, 2 seared French cuvée staves, 3 Maker's 46 staves, 4 roasted French mendiant staves, which is a new stave that Maker's Mark is offering, and 0 toasted French spice staves. And so the combination of their 10 staves is what goes into sort of blending this Private Select. And so once they select the staves, they actually put them into the barrel. The barrel is filled with maker's cask strength, and then it's aged for, I believe I read, 9 to 10 weeks, and then you have it bottled. And so this is a pretty unique experience that Makers has been providing since, I believe, 2015 or 2016. So in the great landscape of bourbon, this Private Select is actually one of the newer ones out there. It's only been the barrel program for about 5 years. And so the biggest change they've had recently, before we sort of get into talking about this bottle and everything, is that the French roasted the mendiant stave is the new stave. They used to replace their French mocha stave with the mendiant one. So, see, what do we think about this bottle?
Well, I'll tell you, I think the bottle itself looks like the same bottle that they have for the Maker's 46, and I believe maybe the new, I guess it's the 46 cast strength one too now, which is kind of the same one.
And their annual wood finish.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And
the new wood finished ones, right? So I guess one of the things that Makers has probably obviously tried to do is they've got to do something to keep up with the barrel picks that other companies are doing, and they don't really do single barrels. So this is, I guess, their way of making something unique for a group or a store. So kind of cool. I like that. They've changed their labels a little bit. I think the first ones that they had stave profile on the back side, which obviously is probably not very good. You want it on the front side. Although, honestly, I have no idea what I'm reading when I'm reading all of these things about French cuvee and French mendiant, French spice. Obviously there's some kind of deal with France. They're just sending all their leftover lumber to us, right? And we're just taking, and they're like, these stupid Americans, they're just going to drop it in barrels of bourbon. And next thing and they rotate these things, right? So like you said, they took out, did you say that they took out the mocha one recently?
Yeah, the mocha one used to be
which was pretty popular, right? So they rotate those kind of things. I heard the next one might be deck board. So, unfinished though. Unfinished, because that would be bad. But it's got a lot on the back. It talks about, I guess, the unique way that this is done. I had no idea what all this was all about until we came in here tonight, and you guys told me that they just basically drop these staves into the barrel, right? So I'm picturing them not floating, but just sitting in there somehow, like just taking up space in the barrel, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it looks like because I've never actually seen it done, but
yeah, I guess that's probably about right. So this is one of those ones I would rank this in the top 3 or 4 of most common barrel selections at stores, right? Everybody has a Knob Creek, everybody has a Russell Reserve, and then probably almost everybody has a Maker's Private Select, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure nationwide. I mean, you guys travel a little bit more than I do, but I know around here it seems like a lot of stores have it.
Not only do they have it, I've been to one store. I think they have
two
or three or four different
kinds.
picks,
yeah, especially
the
Total Wine and Liquor Barn and stuff like that around us. You got to look at the name on it because they'll have some kind of like nickname for it or something.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with this, right? They say they advertise this on the bottle that there's 1,001 different combinations that you could pick based on the fact that you could select all 10 of one stave if you wanted, or you could select.
So I feel like that's like a catch-22 though, because they all kind of look the same though, So like you could easily walk past this at Total Wine and be like, oh, I already got one of those, oh, they have that at another store, they have that at Kroger, and so you, not knowing that this one is different than the other one, you could kind of walk past it. If you gotta kind of be knowledgeable about all this stuff on the label, right? Maybe they should, maybe they could do a little bit better job of trying to let that pop or something. Put a sticker on there or something with like some pictures. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that back in the cast strength episode, I remember we were talking about the fact that I lament the fact that they just advertise their yearly annual releases as different letters, which is different unique stave combinations, right? That nobody knows what they mean, so they have to sort of describe it to you. We're not really sure when we're just looking at the front of the bottle what it's supposed to mean.
Well, yeah, none of those, to me, none of those mean anything, right? Yeah. Like, I have no idea what French mendiant is or mediant. I really don't know what Maker's 46 is. Like, you know, we know the bottle. You know, does that mean they just mixed in Maker's 46? Like,
Those are the staves that make up that profile.
right. So I mean, they need to like. That's what I'm saying. You have to. It's almost like you have to get on their website to look all this stuff up before you go buy that. And I don't know that there's a lot of people that do that kind of stuff. You know,
I definitely feel like they need to find a better way of marketing that, because I read a little bit about it, and all I got was that there are different levels of.
Like these things could appeal
else.
to you if you know what they are, but none of us know what these things are. You know.
Yeah, I guess we're not sophisticated enough.
No,
to know
well,
that
we're
stuff.
not.
Yeah.
We're not French. Maybe I guess if you had somebody from France, they would probably come over and be like, "Oh man, that's a fine selection right there." That mendiant is top shelf.
No, you never know.
But I mean, you know what? I'm excited. I guess. You know, like I said, I don't know what any of those are. I know I've been told what Maker's 46 is. But again, it's a stave profile or it's a stave or whatever. But I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, you
Like,
just kind of know what it tastes like.
Yeah, it was just the number that everyone seemed to like when they made that bottle. So that's why
So
the 46 mark.
So it means nothing, really. I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, the 46 means nothing.
Which, you know, that's so I'm not real high on the bottle label.
You know, Michael, that's really interesting what you brought up about this is their kind of version of a single barrel pick for people, since they don't offer single barrels. That, you know, this is Maker's Mark's way of saying people can come in there and you can kind of pick a unique bottle for them. I've never really thought about it that way. That's
Well, I mean,
a good point.
It's all different. I mean, because no one's gonna
Right,
have the
but
same
so is them giving you 10 barrels to pick from too, and you picking out the one you
right.
like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it is. But I mean, really, you could, I guess, have I mean, theirs could be almost identical. You could have 1, 2, 3, 3, 1. You know, and it wouldn't be much different. I can't imagine it's that much different. You know?
That's the thing. You don't really know. I mean, after we taste this one tonight, I think this will be the third one ever that I've ever tasted. So it's not like I've run around trying to track down different combinations. I know since the French mocha stave has gone away now, there's been a little bit of fanfare, people trying to chase that one down because it's no longer available, but you could probably find that somewhere. I'm sure.
Well, I can tell you right now, no matter where this one falls, it is in my top 2 of private select tastings. So,
oh, yeah?
Yes.
Is that because
He's only had 2.
he's only had 2?
By default, it is in the top 2.
Okay.
I guess maybe 3 if
No,
you got
it's 3. I think it's 3 or 4 you've had. You had one at the distillery. We had one at that
little event.
That event.
That's the only one I can.
They give it to you at the distillery.
I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
I've done one there. I don't know.
Well,
I don't
anyway.
remember it. So I'm counting this as number 1 or 2.
Well, before we get into the notes, we do have to say something about this color. This is really dark.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost like darker than the cast strength that we had for sure. So the staves are definitely having an influence on the cover, the color. And then in terms of the wine influence, of course, French oak and wine making,
Red wine
obviously, and red wine go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So there's definitely has that sort of influence to it.
And you can definitely tell in red wine when it has that French oak in there versus not.
Yeah.
You know, gentlemen, before we start this episode, it's been a while since we started recording, and we opened the bottle, and we've kind of let this thing breathe in our glasses, and the notes from this thing have been really delightful. As we've been sitting here, I've been getting new notes. So if you love notes, I mean, this bottle is a very good pick.
Definitely a lot of good aromatics going on here. And if we start talking about them, I know that we all talked about the fact that the chocolate sort of hits you right in the face.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty prominent considering I'm not a big note person as far as never being able to pick anything up, and I think some of that's overrated. But I can definitely smell the chocolate in that one.
Yeah.
And a little bit of butterscotch or caramel. I'm not real sure what it is.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Yeah, what kind of fruit did you say?
Well, I've got this laundry list I've written down, basically, of
Hey, I want to hear it.
different notes. All right. So right off the bat, you had chocolate. I had butterscotch, fig, some sort of nut. I can't place which exact nut it is. I had caramel. I had the toasted barrel, brown sugar, some sort of soda, marshmallow, and then I get red wine out of it.
Yep. And I think when you say red wine, to me, you're getting like the smell that you get when you nose a red wine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That oaky sort of.
So I don't know if that's one of the staves. That's why I mentioned asking about the color of the bourbon. It was one of the staves because I got a little red wine note out of it, so I didn't know if it was one of the staves.
I wish I knew more about it, but it's definitely super interesting when you really knows it. It's pretty delightful.
Yeah. Did you pick up anything else?
Not really. I mean, you kind of hit all of them that we were talking about, and
Did you hit an exact nut from this?
I was jokingly thinking like walnuts, but then
Okay.
again, I was trying to remember the last time that I just ate like some raw walnuts. I do enjoy like cashews and things like that, but I think that's what I would go with.
Definitely a darker of all the fruits and
Yeah.
and heavier, earthier nuts, and out of this,
I
out
think
of all
you
these
hit
notes.
the nose on the head with like the fig thing, because I traditionally get like a cherry note out of Weeders, and it's definitely like more of the deeper thing like a fig. So, gosh, I'm done smelling this thing. I want to try it.
Let's go. First taste.
Well, for 109.1 proof, it's got no burn. You guys
No.
know that's about all I go for.
Yeah, and there was no ethanol during any of the notes. However, not much comes through from the note to the palates.
Yeah, I definitely think that the first thing that hits me is the oak, the toasted oak flavor. I get a little bit of the chocolate caramel, but it's very faint. It's a nice medium long finish though.
Right.
Definitely very interesting. I think that with any makers, we're talking about 46, anything like that, where that's got that heavy French oak influence, it almost takes you a minute to sort of adjust to what you're drinking. But as powerful as that chocolate note was in the nose, it's definitely not translating over as much to the palate.
I don't know if I'm getting much of any of my notes that I've smelt coming through on the palate.
It's very good though. It's very smooth.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about, and see, this illustrates the complexity because in the different picks that I've had, this one to me tastes more like, see, I'm going to forget, the SEPR4, I think it was, right? Which was their second wood finishing series. I'm not sure if either of you guys had that.
Was that last year's
That was
fall
last
release?
year's fall release, I believe. And this actually resembles that, I feel like, quite a bit in terms of the flavor profile that I'm remembering from that. So it's definitely got a unique taste. It's been so long since I've had another private select. I couldn't tell you how it would stack up, but then again, with all the different combinations, this is even a fair comparison, right?
So there's no way you could ever know how it compares or remember what all your other ones are.
Yeah, especially when I, took pictures of the front of the bottle and not the back of the bottle.
Right.
So I was trying to remember when we were getting prepared for this what ones I've had and what combinations of staves I've had, and I couldn't figure out which ones I had tried because it had been so long. But
So nothing really changes, right? Like, I mean, when I have, and I can compare them to Buffalo Trace store picks that I like, I know some of them, I'm like, okay, I really like that one. From there, it was, it was 8.5 years old. It was like floor 6, like I know so many stats about it, and that's what I like. These are, the age is all the same, right? Because it's all just regular makers, right? So that part of it, I think, is what makes it hard to identify for me. Like, without having to take a picture of the front of this and keep like a diary in your phone of what you like, and then when you go to the store, you got to pull it up and like. I think with the Buffalo Trace, I can remember two things. I like the 8.5 years, and I like, anything from 4, 5, and 6, or whatever,
it's interesting because it offers, a unique experience. I know when we think about other places, like we talked when we did, and talked about Four Roses, how you have different recipes and yeast strands and everything else. I do think of the barrel programs. This is probably one of the more unique ones. But because I haven't tasted a lot of them, I don't really know what that uniqueness would look like or translate to. So, and then of course I'm gonna repeatedly just assault Maker's Mark for their marketing on, or lack of marketing on their staves and everything else, and knowing more about it, because I really think they need to do more to educate the consumer.
But I mean, it's got the profile right there. The profile that gives you no information.
Yeah, right.
Other than how many of them are in there. Oh man, that's heavy on the French mendiant. Oh, I'm all over that. Love a good French mendiant.
Well, what's interesting? I looked up what mendiant, French mendiant. We're probably going to mispronounce that, and everybody can make fun of us for it. But it's a French chocolate, and they replaced French mocha with mendiant. So I'm like, mocha is chocolate to me, and then they replaced it with mendiant. So I don't know if they just did a
Is that more
variation.
PR
I don't know.
move?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they just ran out of mocha trees.
Yeah, all I know is,
And
one of the unique things, though, that I can't say about this is one of the first people in town, this store, to have a pick that has the stave used in it, because it just got rolled out in January 2021. So there's not many. I mean, there might be one or two more stores locally. Maybe the big guys might have one, but it's definitely unique in terms of what people are used to tasting. So,
probably unique right now, but if it becomes like the other one, I mean, over the next couple of years, it'll be out here all the time.
Of course.
Gentlemen, would you pass, try, or buy on the Maker's Mark private selection?
Well, I've given this one a lot of thought, and I always got to give the full backstory here. So I've been going down to Jackson's Wine and Spirits for quite a while. I shop there frequently. I buy their store picks pretty often. And for me, I'm going to buy it because I'm always going down there and I like their store. But there have been times where I'm on first name basis with it's a family owned business. I'll send them a message and say, here's what I'm getting from this store pick and stuff like that. And I just be honest with them. And so tonight, I mean, I'm the same way. I'm be honest about this. With the private selects in general, I have always been impressed with Maker's Mark. I've always enjoyed it. I've always looked and thought to myself, if I can't readily get other weeders that I like, looking at price range, I'm going to probably buy this one 9 times out of 10, regardless of who's doing the pick, because I like what it offers. And so I actually have this one. I have one that I've purchased from another local business in town that I haven't opened yet. And whenever I'm out looking in different places, when I'm traveling and stuff like that, I'm always looking for different combinations. So I'm going to be a pretty solidly into buy category here, because I like the taste of this one. I think it offers pretty unique flavor, and for the price, I like it.
I've thought about this a lot too. So it's 109 proof, and it comes in at $70. The cash strength, you can normally get that on sale, or normally get that under $40, probably in the mid 30s, and that is very good. Now, how does that stack up with this? This probably has more notes on it, I think, because of the profile from the profile program. Is it worth double the price though? That I don't know.
You have to answer the question.
I do.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
It's just a tough one. I mean, it's definitely a try. I mean, they're all going to be unique, so I don't know why you wouldn't try them. At $70, I wish I had more in the finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's nothing to do with the pick. It's just maybe it's how does the cash strength? Did it have a good finish? I don't remember.
I thought we liked that pretty
I thought
good,
we did.
didn't we? Yeah.
Like
I don't remember, but I mean,
the palate was good on that. So did the palate have more than this to offer?
I don't remember.
I just don't
if it did
remember.
or not. I remember talking about the soda notes and things like that. With that one, I said cherry cola, if I remember correctly, and so it definitely had a unique flavor to it. But I feel like it's a completely different. This compared to that is completely different, because you don't have that. I mean, this has a lot of toasted oak, and you guys are gonna laugh at me. After I got used to that flavor, because I recognize it as a flavor that I'd get in wine, I really have gravitated toward these type of bourbons, to the point where I bought one. I mean, nobody would know what it was, but it was a 2-year-old aged heavily French oaked, aged for 6 months, and it was a 2-year-old bourbon. I drank the hell out of that, and I loved it. So this just fits more of the profile that I like.
But I'm gonna have to say a try.
Okay.
A try. I mean, I'm teetering to buy, but maybe try and a half.
I think
Try and
that's
a
fair.
half.
Try and a half.
I like that.
Try
I like
and a
that. We
half.
can do try
Okay.
and a half.
Try and a half. That's really close. Well, I will say I would pass. $75 or $70. I've seen them as much as $80 or $85. I think that turns a lot of people off for our makers to pay $80 for something like that. I'm not good enough at my bourbon to taste the difference between this and something else, and note all of these different staves in there. And then they're just so readily available. It's nothing against Jackson's pick. It's just they're everywhere you go, and you just, you're kind of numb to them because you see them and you just walk right past them. And so I would definitely pass. I'm just not seeing myself especially if you like something, you might not ever get it again. So I don't, to me, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah. Hey, I think that's fair.
It's like a double-edged sword with this program they have. You find something you really like. I mean, who knows when that will be again? Or they may take that stave off the program completely.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get it again. Or options to try if you're really into that.
Yeah, and I will throw one more because we like to talk about this, I feel like, at the beginning episodes, and we haven't talked about it much lately. But if you got to grab a gift bottle for somebody and you want them to have something that's, I guess, special or unique, it fits the profile there. But then again, like Michael said, if you're buying for somebody that's a bourbon drinker and they don't really necessarily care about the staves, it might not matter all that much to them because they're looking for bourbon. They're not looking for that unique sort of flavor, right?
So you think they would, if you bought that as a gift, okay, so I bring them, I bring you Jackson's Wine and Spirits, in a nice bag. I bring it to you. Happy birthday. You like it. You drink the whole thing. Now you can't get that again.
Yeah.
So are you, what is your next move now as a person, as the receiver of that gift?
Yeah.
Do you go to your store, because there's a million of these out there.
Yeah.
Do you go to your store and just go pick up another one? Or do you go do your research on them? Or do you just say, oh, well, I guess I'll never get that one again? And so I don't know.
It's almost like, you buy a single barrel. You may love it, and the next single barrel you just may not like it because it's a single barrel.
Yep.
But you can always get a good estimate of what it's going to be, what it's going to taste like. Here, I mean, you're influencing that juice with a lot of different combinations that may.
Yeah, in other words, you're going to buy another private select. It could be completely different.
Yeah, it's like that McKenna I have. It's,
with that many combinations, it's going to be, right?
Yeah, the first bottle of McKenna I have, it was great.
Yeah.
The second bottle was awful. It's just the lottery of single barrels.
Yep.
But I know I can go out there and get another bottle, and I may have another great experience again. Here, it's just like if you're so hooked on, let's say, the chocolate, but and every pick around you is far from that.
Yeah.
But your McKenna's $39.99.
That is very true.
And if it's terrible, I'll pay $39.99 and try again.
Yeah.
If this is terrible, I'm not paying $75.99 again and trying again.
Yeah.
It's almost like you wish they had, like, let's say the top tier bourbon. It may vary from, let's say, like the BTAC. You like the Weller BTAC.
Yeah.
And it's going to vary from year to year, obviously, from just natural conditions. But here, you see, you're never going to get the same flavor again, which is, it's like you almost want to just go out there and just get the product and bring it home. And here, you don't know if you can get that product and bring it home.
Yeah, you're definitely sacrificing any semblance of consistency for uniqueness, and whether or not you like that uniqueness is going to be completely dependent on whether you know enough about these staves and whether you like what you're tasting.
Because you may get close. You could come with, if it has, stave combo, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, you can go out there and go, 1, 3, 3, 3. You're like, it's going to be close.
Now that you say that, I wonder if there's any stores, and that's something I really wish I would read up on or find out, that have done the same stave combination twice and gotten different results. That's a
good one.
That would be really good to see if that's the case.
I can tell you, having gone to Liquor Barn, I can, you got to be careful when you're looking because they just throw them all together on a shelf.
And they do have several out there.
And they're all different. Like, you got to read the names on them.
They all have some sort of like clever, naming.
Based on what they think it tastes like, I guess, or whatever. But you got to be careful on that kind of stuff.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, keep it neat.